Everybody, it's Mercedes, aka the Melarated Mompreneur, and after a 4-week hiatus, I am back to continue discussing my pregnancy journey. So, if you're new here, I just want to encourage you to like any videos that you watch and subscribe so that you don't miss any updates. If you're already subscribed, I just want to thank you for watching my videos. I hope that you continue to support my channel. So without further ado, let's get into my first trimester. So my pregnancy overall has been very interesting. And if you haven't watched the very first video, I encourage you to do so as I discuss my health condition before pregnancy, and it gives you background on what I'm going to talk about today. So in my first trimester, of course, the first thing I noticed was nausea. It was pretty intense and made it difficult for me to eat or even have an appetite for certain food. So prior to pregnancy, I was a vegetarian, mostly plant-based food. And then I did eat seafood like salmon and shrimp, and I continued to eat eggs and cheese. That kind of lets you know that I was mostly healthy as far as my diet during the pre-pregnancy period. But during my first trimester, with all that nausea and changes in my appetite, I couldn't look at a vegetable or even seafood. It was so hard. I tried over and over. I was like, I know I need to get these vegetables in. I know I need to continue to eat, salmon when I can. And it just didn't work for me. I was disgusted. I could not do it. So the most that I ate during those first weeks was crackers, bland cereal, plain yogurts, bananas, and plain eggs. That was it. And then other things I added were popsicles, which helped me to continue to get my fluids, because sometimes it got too much to keep drinking water. And then smoothies from Smoothie King specifically. Those things were pretty much what I ate from 4 weeks to about 17 weeks. And then so my nausea kind of ended around 13 weeks, and that's when I was able to incorporate some more things into my diet, but they weren't necessarily healthy, and they definitely weren't vegetarian. So I actually started eating bacon, pork bacon. It was what my body was craving, and it was delicious. Other things that I increase were carbs. So a lot of bread, waffles, and more cereal. Because the energy required, to grow a baby requires carbs. And so my body was always craving carbs. I tried to do as much as I could to keep my diet healthy. But, at the end of the day, I just had to eat. One of the other things that changed during my first trimester, besides my growing belly and weight gain, was my fibroids actually grew. So because of the pregnancy hormone that's growing the baby, it also causes the fibroids to grow. And one of mine was 4 centimeters before I got pregnant, and it enlarged to about 10 to 11 centimeters during pregnancy. And that was definitely a weird experience, because sometimes I would be laying down and I could feel the fibroid shifting in my belly. Initially, I was concerned, but after talking to my doctor, she explained that the fibroid was on a stalk and it was just kind of dangling there. And she hoped that as my uterus moved up in my abdomen, it would just move off to one side. And that's pretty much what happened. The other thing she explained is that the fibroid could cause pain, bleeding, or cause the baby to stop growing. And that's because the baby and the fibroid have the same blood supply, which is from the uterus. So during the first trimester, that didn't happen. The baby continued to grow just fine, and the fibroid actually stopped growing after about 11 weeks. Given my age, which I was treated as advanced maternal age, I did have to have early DNA testing for my baby just to see if she was going to have things like Down syndrome or other chromosomal abnormalities. And during that test, they also, of course, learned the gender or the sex of the baby. So we wanted to find out. So we just found out from that. We didn't even wait until the sex could be detected on ultrasound. So we found out we were having a girl pretty early, and we didn't really care whether we were having a boy or a girl. We just wanted a healthy baby, and that's exactly, you know, what how we reacted. I want to talk about is just working during the first trimester. So with all that nausea and fatigue, how did I maintain that work-life balance? So for me, it was hard. Let's be real. It was really hard. So many times I just wanted to stay home, stay in the bed, or stay on the couch because the fatigue was very heavy. It was like a heavy blanket just relaxing you and making you want to lay down. And how can you fight against that feeling or compete with that? It was so hard. So when I was at my private practice, I would do as much as I could, but then sometimes I just had to stop and lay down. And I was pregnant early in the year, so my practice had just been open a few months, so we didn't have a consistent flow of patients just yet. So it allowed me to be able to take those breaks and just rest, or leave the office altogether, leaving my staff to answer the phones and schedule patient visits. When I worked at my part-time job, which I work at a transitional care clinic about 1 time a week, mostly, sometimes 2 times a week. And I see complex needs patients at that clinic, and it's pretty easygoing as far as how they let me set up my schedule. So I try to, excuse me, get the patient seen as early as possible. I tried to get the patient seen as early as possible so that I could have more time to rest during the day. And then sometimes when I couldn't do that, I would just go in my car during lunch and take a nap. And it was a very good nap. So that's how I maintained that during working hours. And then, as you know, as a doctor, sometimes your job is just never done. You have to go home and do notes or follow up patient results, or, you know, whatever, something that has to do with the patient, something that has to do with your work. Sometimes you have to do from home. So during my first trimester, I would do a little bit of that. But mostly I would just come home and rest, and then anything that needed to be done that wasn't urgent, I would just wait and do it the next day. And that's pretty much how I got through. Thankfully, my first trimester was pretty uneventful. And the next video, of course, we'll be talking about my second trimester, all the anatomy scans that I had to have, and buying maternity clothes, and yeah. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. Please write any comments or questions that you have down in the comment section, and I do respond. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Bye.